are subpar.
It's shameful.
It is. It really is. There we go. Now we're live. Now we're live for sure. I'm
Hello.
pretty sure.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? We're live and alive here
We are.
on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Only
It's
the
me.
face. Yeah.
It's me, Emma. Remember Emma from back when I used to be in TetTalk? Well, it's me again.
She's here. She's new. She's shiny.
It's a clone.
Brand. Yeah.
I'm shiny and chrome.
Yeah. Her body is chrome, blood's gasoline, and glassoline.
Okay, so obviously I'm Tet. We have Emma, Demi, Matt. From my perspective, at least. Nobody else has a camera. That's fine.
No.
So I just wanted to do one of these. We haven't done one of these in probably 6 months at least.
Wow.
And it is the middle of the day, so whatever. But
allegedly.
Who's working?
Allegedly for us on this side of the world. But yeah, I just wanted to do one of these and talk about, kind of what we're up to in the months ahead, what we're planning on doing, what we've done recently. And so I'll start off. We got a bunch of new games kicking off here in the next couple months, or currently, pretty much. A couple new Demon Gate games, couple new Heroes and Hardships games. What else? A couple games. Final Fantasy. Yep. Wow, that's loud.
I know.
And some other things, I think. Also, one thing I wanted to kind of just mention is that we'll be doing, hopefully, I want to be releasing more like system tutorial review, character creation stuff, but I'm not gonna release them at the same time of day. I think I'm gonna release them in the middle of the day, probably about 12 Eastern. Give a good sizable chunk of time in between the two releases when there's dual, when there's one in the morning and one at night. Just to add some content to our channel. I don't want to put it at the same time because, number one,
confusing.
It's just going to be, it's confusing. You'll know when, right? You say if you see something come out in the middle of the day, you know kind of what it is, versus an actual play at the end of the day, which we have so many. I usually don't have any space to put them in anyway. So, so I could just push things out way too long for what we would want to do, keep track of for me in the in the videos and stuff. So that's the idea. We'll see how much we get to do of that, but that's the plan. Anybody else have anything they want to talk about?
What? So obviously I know one of the videos that we have down the pipeline for system overviews and character creation. Do we have any other ones? And if so, what are we looking at?
Ghost did, there's a couple months ago, and this was kind of universal, kind of a global thing, people doing character creation challenges. And I thought that was an interesting kind of thought project. And Ghost did one. He's kind of was planning on doing every character class in Demon Gate. Wow. I have one of those done. And then I'm going to do a couple. And so, but nothing set in stone right now to be released. I would like to do a couple system character creation tutorials for like Soulbound and other games that we haven't actually touched yet. But it might be interesting. Is there anything you guys would like to see? And if there's anything you guys want to see out there, just comment. And we'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
Some
of us have time. Some of us don't have anything else to do, because it's fun.
Yeah.
Hey, Darren. I might try to make a video for Thirsty Sword Lesbians.
Oh, please.
And 12 Inner Demons. I think
don't know what that one is.
Yeah, it's one that was on Kickstarter recently.
Ooh.
And met their pledge goal and everything, and
nice.
I was able to pick up a copy or a PDF copy. It looks pretty cool. And so might show some smaller indie games some love.
That's good. Yeah, I know Darren's been doing a lot of kind of, we're talking about like kind of doing system tutorials, character creation tutorials, and other kind of tutorials. Right. And I was about to mention that you've been doing some like macro tutorials, that sort of thing for Roll20. So that if you have any more of that stuff, we would love to see it so we could, I plan on releasing those kind of at a different time of the day, kind of separating from our actual plays, but that's really helpful for people, I think.
Yep.
Oh. Yeah. That'll be fun.
Indubitably.
Yeah, I plan to keep working when I get a chance
on,
doing it in like installments. Because by this point, I do a lot of macro stuff, and to try to explain it all at once would be overwhelming. So you just kind of build on it, each one.
Yeah, I might do some of that too, kind of see if there's like differences between what you do and what I do, and kind of like what we can like learn from each other. Maybe that would be interesting to see, kind of somebody else's process.
Absolutely, because I'm always, every time I run a game, I realize I did something not efficiently and could do something better.
I just learned that. So the character sheet for Heroes and Hardships I was working on the other day, and I get this problem where every time I make a change to the character sheet, that I have to go in and change the template files like completely. And so then I have to take characters and convert them to the template file, and it's a real time killer. Pain in the ass. So what I was like, I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build an attribute for the role in the character sheet and then point to that attribute instead of actually having the code in the actual abilities of the character sheet. So no matter what I change, it's still pointing to the same thing. So I can make a change in the character sheet, but I don't have to change the template a bunch of times.
Oh, so good.
I went through that whole thing yesterday. It was like why did I do that?
See what you do. Yeah. And I've started using the macro, the across the board macros, GM macros, whatever you want to call them. And for common roles, like for basic skill roles and stuff like that, I'll put them in there now and then make them associated with every character sheet, so every character, even NPCs, get them. Then if I realize later something needs to be changed or enhanced, I can just do it one time and everybody gets it.
Nice.
Yeah, the one major problem with VTTs is the data entry. It's
a lot.
Tedious.
It's very tedious. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So I plan on. I think probably the next system character creation tutorial I'll do is for Soulbound, because I've been like skimming through that. That's by Cubicle 7. But yeah, if there's anything you guys that were watching this and you have interest in us doing, please let us know. Between all of us, we'd probably have it. I would guess.
Oh.
So
we have so many things.
Have all the things.
Yeah.
Not all the things I wish we had. All this. Not quite. Not quite.
We do. Now we do.
May not be possible to have all the things anymore.
Too bad. We do. What the? So does anybody have anything like, I guess, so what are the new, I guess you could do an overview of the new and exciting systems that we're running. I mean, we haven't
Why don't you start since you're doing CP?
Yeah, so sure. So, of course, me being Matt, the voice, the wonder, the amazing, of course. So
did anybody say that?
Yeah, me. The only one that matters, me. So the one game that I am doing that if you haven't checked it out, then I probably hate you, but you should definitely check out Cyberpunk, which is a game that I run, and I run 2 separate groups through, and they are running in the same city of Night City. It's based on Cyberpunk Red, of course, released, I think, late last year in November, right when Cyberpunk 2077 was released. Cyberpunk Red came out, which is excellent. I really enjoy the rules. There's some things that are a bit wonky, but we work things out. But mostly, from what I've seen, it's pretty balanced, pretty even, and pretty great. But yeah, I'm running that. It's probably the most background work that I've put into any sort of game that I've ever run. A lot of data entry, a lot of things that I'm still doing that I haven't done that I should have done from the start, but it's okay because, things always progressing. But overall, it's an exciting game. It's a fun game. It's a bit it can be very silly at times, but
Really?
I think that's just
What?
talking about a lot of seamen. And not the Navy kind demi, but
There's another kind.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah,
mean?
it's the same thing,
Talking
right?
about?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's a good time. If you want to laugh a lot and also be like, then I definitely suggest checking out Cyberpunk. And seeing, I don't know if you can see it from a player's side. There's a lot of different stuff that probably no one's ever going to look at in that game, but I've made it anyway, and it's there, and I'm very happy about it. But I'm excited to continue running more, and I think this is going to be the game that I run for a very long time. I don't know, because right now I don't want to run anything else. So yeah.
And then
Yay.
Darren's running Alien, so
Yep,
talk about
that's
Alien.
wrapping up soon. I think 1 or 2 more episodes. It's looking like could be half of an episode depending on how things go there.
We're gonna die.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're doing a very risky move here, which could end up backfiring, but it could go well. We'll see.
So, a question I have: how has it been like running? I know you did masks. But
yes,
how has this been like running from a pre-written adventure? Has it gone pretty much the way you expected? How it's written, or have you improvised a lot?
It's a very sandboxy kind of scenario. It has so early in the scenario. There's sort of some things that are likely to happen, but even then, it didn't completely go that way. And the second half has many assumptions about what the players are probably going to do, and they're all wrong. So it's not at this point. It's not going at all according to the scenario. But that's to me, that's part of what makes it fun. Is I strongly believe in the maxim. I think it's in Dungeon World was where I first read it, but a GM should run a game to find out what happens. Mm-hmm. That's what you do. It's not, let it go off the rails, let it go where it goes. That's part of the fun for me.
That's cool.
Well, I'm glad we threw it off the rails for you.
Well, what were you guys going to do? I mean, it really, that's, it's one of the things about pre-written adventures is in many cases, the person writing it has this idea in their mind of what the players are going to think and what they'll perceive and what little tiny pieces of information they might pick up on and act on. And, that doesn't often happen. So unless you're really forced down, a railroad path,
you can't do that.
Yeah, it's going to happen that it's not going to go the way the scenario is written. That's just a very common problem. I guess if you call it a problem, I just look at it as the scenario is a starting point, a basis, and I never end up running them the way they seem to want to go.
Guide. Anyway. It's a guide, right?
Guideline. Yeah, masks certainly didn't. I mean, at least half of what happened in Masks was sort of off in the weeds from what was written.
Yeah.
But it was great.
So Masks was definitely a great campaign. An audience, if you have
not seen it,
60-something episodes worth of spare time, would recommend.
Yeah, I mean, you can listen to me do a Russian accent for half of it.
That's right.
Well, over half of it, and also have sex
don't give
with
away
many
spoilers.
people.
Yeah. No, I just had a fan private message me and say, "Are you gonna do another long Call of Cthulhu campaign?" I missed that one, and I was like, I don't know.
Oh, that's so nice of them, though.
It's just so hard to run a
There's
long
definitely a
campaign.
lot of them out there. Like they really specialize in those huge campaigns for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the other big ones probably like the Orient Express one, right? And then there's,
Yes, I would love to run that. It's just the way our group is structured, it's really hard to run a very long-term campaign well.
Mhm.
We're more designed for shorter campaigns. I love long campaigns, but it just, it's tough.
It is a hard one.
So I guess other new games that are coming up. Emma, why don't you talk about Final Fantasy since it's yours? It's not out yet.
Yeah.
Next month.
Well, we have a one-shot that is going to be a bit of a precursor to the campaign that's starting next month. And we're filming that the 31st. So that'll come out early April. But we also had a one-shot for it back in February, but the system has changed a little bit since then. But yeah, so since about September, when Final Fantasy 16 was announced, I decided to start working on a Final Fantasy TTRPG system. There are a couple others that exist out in the ether, but they're either incredibly complicated to the point that you need like a calculator and a lot of time in order to play them well, or they're just not really what I was looking for in a system. So I wanted to make my own, and so I have been, and it's still very much a work in progress. There's a lot that I still need to add, but I decided, fuck it, let's start a campaign. It's going to be a shorter campaign, probably spanning about 4 to 6 sessions, maybe a little bit more, who knows. But it'll be a fun time, and we have Matt, Friendly Fire, Dr. Danish, and Ghost who are going to be the players, and it's going to be great.
It's going to be real fun.
It's going to be real fun.
As far as other games, yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Demon Gate. We've got 2 Demon Gates. We'd have one that's already come out, which is Demon Gate Vagabond, of course, run by Rogue, the writer of Demon Gate. And it is much more wholesome than our last one, which was Blood Money. You should also check that out if you like smut. But yeah, so this one's a lot more friendly. We're all very wholesome.
Family friendly demon.
Friendly. There's 8 characters in total, of course, on this caravan. There's 2 split groups. Out of everybody, I think there's only one who doesn't seem as heroic as the rest, but most of them are good.
Who is that? Aki?
Oh, Aki. Yeah. He
Just
doesn't
a
want
guess.
to do
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's an excellent game. I of course play a big Adami Mommy monk. He's very strong. Who's the best. And we had art commissioned for it from a wonderful artist. If you want to look her up, her name's B Kake on Twitch. You should go find her. She's great. Hey Effie. And yeah, you should check out Demon Gate Vagabond. And then next month we are having Demon Gate Academy, run by Ghost, who is also a contributor to some of the writings for Demon Gate in the newer books, and also one of the writers for some adventures for Earl of Fife. So also check that out on Drive-Thru RPG. Plug. But yeah, so that one's about a bunch of young people going to school and getting up to debaucherous things. And Effie is playing my roommate. So it's going to be a good time.
It's gonna be so fun.
It's gonna be so good. I'm playing. Who am I playing? I'm playing a Nephilim who's a knight who's addicted to opium. So it's gonna be good.
Love it.
I know.
Perfect.
10 out of 10.
Yeah. So what else? Thinking.
We also have finally wrapping up the last episode of Murder Camp is going to be done tomorrow. And so that should be hitting the YouTube channel soon. For those of you who have been following that fun little series that I decided to do, we're going to have Matt and Aki closing it out, and it should be a goofy, good time.
Yeah, I think we've finished, and this can be like anywhere from 3 sessions up, really, of stuff. But I mean, we've finished something like 60 or 70 campaigns, whatever you want to call them, stories, maybe campaigns, whatever. Total. I think only one was like just abandoned without like any sort of ending whatsoever.
The cursed one, we never speak his name.
Yeah.
What was the name?
We dare not speak it.
Begins with an X.
Oh, right. Okay.
So yeah. There's at least one season 2 coming up, and that's Seeds of Rage season 2. So if anybody's watched that, it's been quite a while. It's been like 2 years, I think. So the plan is to start that next month. It was originally based on a system called Abandon All Hope. I kind of ran it on a lark a bit just to try something new, and it just ended up being this pretty much great horror game driven primarily by all the players, and so I really enjoyed that, and I wanted to get back to it, and it's taken us this long, but we're going to do it hopefully, and so that'll be next month. It's
definitely gonna be a rated R campaign. Lots of trigger warnings on it. It's gonna be
So in other words, you're involved in it.
Yeah. It'll be like kind of like cult and subject matter, I would say. Even I wouldn't say worse, but different. So yeah.
We're gonna have cult season 2 eventually. Eventually.
How? I don't know.
No. It would be new characters.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, no, Cyberpunk's my baby right now, so
yeah.
Sorry, cult. Push it aside.
I think the last
apologizing to a game.
Yeah.
Sorry, game.
Sorry, Swedish developers of Cult.
Yeah.
I think the only other thing is Trek. So I'm running some Star Trek 2D20, Star Trek Adventures. Got a session of that in a couple days, which I should work on today. I'm doing a mix of pre-published adventures for that one and my own stuff, and kind of getting back to what Darren said. Like this one, I'm running Stolen Liberty. It's what it's called. Now, Star Trek Adventures has a lot of pre-published adventures out there. And I decided this one because it was interesting to me. But like as you get through it, there's some of them. It's like, okay, you do this skill check for this and this and this, but it's like it doesn't even say like what happens if you fail. It's just assumed you're not going to fail, which I think there's probably the probability is likely. But like it's the very beginning, like when you're supposed to launch a probe to find their ship that's in orbit, right? It just assumes you pass. There's no like things. What happens if you fail? There's nothing. I was like,
there's nothing there. I guess that's it.
That's so
adventure's over
at this point. Yeah, for that you just don't roll. It seems like it makes sense. If there should be no chance of failure because it will ruin the game, then just don't roll. Just say, hey, you send out a thing, it works.
I mean, maybe they're trying to figure out how to generate momentum. For that as a system type of thing, to get you started with having momentum, but it's hard to say when there's not a failure. I mean, I added a failure scenario. It didn't happen, but Which
there's the fail forward idea too of like, yes, you get it, but I mean, if
that's
you come up with a but, yeah, it's
but
not
they
always
die.
easy.
No save.
So that one, Stolen Liberty will be done. I'm almost positive next session. Kind of ended on a cliffhanger a bit. So doing some Trek. We'll do it for a while. I was just kind of wanted to go back and do some 2D20. I have been for a while, and I was going to do Conan, and then that kind of got pushed to the side. And I don't think I'd run that game with 2D20 anymore, so it's like, okay. But
well, what don't you like about 2D20?
Oh, I like 2D20 just fine. I know you have some qualms with related to spending threat and stuff like that, or Doom.
The Doom or threat, it's different in every system. But I'm just curious how
I like it fine.
I'd love to see it done well. I just don't know, like, it doesn't work.
So what is the specific thing that you don't?
It's the whole meta economy of players have momentum depending on maybe it's called momentum in all of the
it is, I
2D20s.
believe.
Yeah. But then there's the GM side, which is Doom in one or threat, like you said. And it's like this point system where the GM gets these points to spend on bad things that happen. And it just feels so artificial to me. Like, I'm totally fine with momentum. I think that's a cool mechanic that people build up this momentum and then can do neat things with it. But I'm the GM. I don't need points to do stuff. You know what I mean? It just always feels like, well, and in practice when I ran it, the players had no qualms about giving me Doom at any point, because it just didn't matter. Like, I would spend the Doom, but they could outpace me on momentum with the Doom once their characters were reasonably good. And it just felt, I don't know, the economy of it felt off to me, and it always left a bad taste in my mouth. Spending, like, I'm going to spend 3 points to make the ceiling start coming down. Well, I could just make the ceiling start coming down.
That's why I usually, when I use Doom or Threat or whatever, I usually use it for NPC momentum spends.
Yeah, that's the easy fallback. But like I said, then the player's momentum is far more valuable than Doom as far as NPC spends.
Yeah.
I
had a similar thought process when I was thinking of incorporating, I haven't played 2D20, but this just kind of feels like story points, like in Genesis and stuff. And I was thinking of adding a story point system, and I just, same thought process as you. I just didn't understand, I don't need points as a GM because I can just kind of do what the fuck I want. So,
and I'm not going to spend points to bone them. It doesn't feel right to just screw over the players. Well, you guys gave me 10 Dooms, so now I'm going to have everything fall on you and kill you. Like, that's
rocks fall, you die.
Dumb.
I agree. I think that part of the Doom system or threat is really unnecessary. If you use it just like you would use momentum, I think it's fine, because if you give me a ton of Doom and the GM, well, I can create advantage or whatever it's called in Conan, which add 2D, more D20s. Well, that's really bad for you, right? If I'm rolling 5 dice against you.
It's not if you can just give me more Doom so that you get to roll 5 dice too.
That's true.
You know what I mean? I think actually the heart of the problem is players can give you Doom voluntarily, and that shouldn't be the case. I mean, that's because it's like, oh sure, I'll give you 3 Doom to get my momentum ball rolling, and then I keep rolling more dice. I get more momentum. That builds on itself. You just gave me 3 Doom to get that started. Now I spend my 3 Doom, and if you need to, I'll just give you 3 more Doom, and we'll keep playing that game over and over. And so you end up rolling 5 dice for everything.
Yeah.
At least that started happening.
Isn't there a stipulation of what you can use to what you can use momentum for if you give the GM Doom, though?
No,
There's
I don't
not?
think so. I mean, it's almost all. You certainly can use it to get to roll more dice,
Yeah, I don't think
and that's
I don't think you can
always
use
what
it
they do.
to like repeated effects. Like I don't think you can give
No.
the GM
Yeah,
Doom
I'm sorry. Yeah, you can't say I'm gonna just
for
act
extra
like I got
damage or
more
whatever.
successes. No, but for rolling more dice, you can always give the GM Doom to roll up to your maximum dice, the 5 dice. And there was never a time where the players wouldn't do that because they learned I can give you 3 Doom, and now we start generating. It's like it's just like the Spark Club gets their momentum engine running, so that they're constantly building more and more momentum for that 3 Doom they gave me. What's the big deal?
Is there
and then if they run out, they do it again.
Yeah, is there anybody that has talked about that online, about like any ways to mitigate that? Or
I've asked about it, and I've only ever been poo-pooed by people that know the system. They just go, "Oh, I haven't had that problem." I'm like, "Well, okay." they just don't, they'll say, "Well, just spend it. You can spend it on environmental things and stuff like that." And I'm like, "But I don't want to spend it on it." I mean, that's the point. I don't feel like it's not like I'm not going to do anything if you don't give me Doom.
Right.
And if you give me Doom, I'm not going to do something that's so horrifically bad that it's like, well, gee, that was fun that you spent, I saved up 30 Doom so I could ensure all of your deaths.
Yeah, that's not fun.
It's just stupid. No one plays like that. Or no one should play like that. Anyway, if that problem could be solved, the problem in my mind, I love Conan 2D20. I think it's brilliant otherwise. It's just that one niggle.
I mean, you could basically just say you can't spend or give me Doom for extra dice and be done with it. Right?
Yeah.
The question is like you got to kind of be careful, because there's a lot of things that are balanced in a system that you have to that's hard to take into account if you didn't build it. And so it's like, what else could that break? Could it break something? Yeah. Because then are they generating as much momentum as the developers, envisioned?
Right.
Because they want you to definitely get momentum.
Well, one potential thing that my group and I discussed was we could have a Doom limit. Like once you hit a certain amount of Doom, you just can't spend anymore. So now it becomes a question of, well, I can give you Doom now, but if the GM just holds on to it, then I'm kind of backed into a corner later, and now I can't generate that anymore. Now I'm kind of stuck. I can see that we didn't actually try it, but that seemed like a possibility. But then it's like, well, now the GM doesn't want to spend it either.
Right.
So, but maybe that's fine. I didn't like spending it anyway.
You're like a tsundere. You're like, I don't want to spend it anyway.
It just because it felt artificial for me to spend it on behalf of NPCs, or very ineffectual.
Yeah, I get that. For the Final Fantasy system, I decided to just give the players fate points, which they start at level 1 with 2, and then every other level they get another one. And they're just points that they can spend to affect the story, or to affect dice or damage rolls, and a couple other things. So where they can do powerful things with them, but then I don't have to worry about a weird trade back of points constantly, where when they spend one, I get one, and then I give it back to them and whatever else.
That's Genesis for you right there.
It really is. It's kind of just like here and then here and then here, and it's just a constant.
I kind of get it in the aspect of particularly like Star Wars. What the Force is on your side or the Force is on their side, so it's kind of a back and forth thing. And mostly when you use those, it's for mechanical effects, right? Okay, I'm upgrading the dice to do this and blah blah blah, right? It's not like Conan, the 2D20 system is so ingrained with that meta currency that you have to really, I mean, that's really the main part of the game, really. So. yeah. So I'm running Trek. I'm going to look at that more in depth. The one thing about, I mean, maybe it doesn't matter how much Doom they give me, but in Trek, the dice, the momentum for dice is not 1-to-1 like it is Conan. So in Conan, you pay 1 momentum, you get a dice. You pay 2, you get 2. You pay 3, you get 3. In Trek, it's a scale. It's 1, 3, and 5. It's harder to buy the dice.
Yeah.
So, but
oh, that might be interesting. I hadn't considered a scale.
Yeah. So it's harder to buy that dice. But if they can just give you, if they can give you 3 Doom for 2 dice, I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't. Right. If they can give you 5 Doom for 3 dice, like I said, it doesn't really matter. I mean,
yeah, that was the essential problem. Is it didn't really matter how much Doom I had.
Right. Yeah. But I haven't had anybody give me threat for dice. I have to look at that. That might not even be a rule in Trek. I have to look. It definitely isn't Conan though, because I remember doing that.
So did they have special threat spends for like opponents? Like that was the one thing that seemed potentially useful, is like where you could spend Doom to have an NPC do a special power that they couldn't do without spending Doom. Like that seemed okay. Now you're giving me an ability to mechanically, cool. And you earned that because you gave me the Doom. You get to now have something.
I don't
it's
remember.
Not just more dice. It's and functionally maybe it's not that different, but it feels different to me.
Yeah, in Trek's combat is much more simpler than Conan. It's like 10-to-1. They're mostly, I think, the Doom spins or threat spins for Trek is like your normal momentum kind of NPC momentum spins. Extra dice, etc., extra damage, whatever. Re-rolling blanks, that sort of thing on challenge dice. But they also have like bring in reinforcements, things like that. But I don't think there's much for special stuff that I can recall off the top of my head, at least. But
it's interesting though to see kind of the difference between basically a system that's, it seems almost more like player and story driven and the mechanics that go into that versus games that are more combat focused. Because I mean, like going back to Cyberpunk really quick, it's definitely like a combat based system. There's a lot of stuff that is specifically combat based. A lot of stuff revolves around combat, as that's just kind of the world it is, and there's a lot of rules that pertain to that. There's not a lot of rules that pertain to, like you can spend this as a player and get an extra benefit on social things. Like there's not a lot of like quote unquote social combat or anything of the sorts. It's mostly just beat 'em up, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you can have like things get, combat can have be 100 pages long, right? And then any kind of social interaction just drops down to make your persuasion roll, and that's it, right? And
that's a lot of systems.
Yeah, it's like most systems. Yeah,
I'm trying so hard not to do that with Final Fantasy.
You have to. Yeah, it boils down to you have to make your social interactions as complicated as your combat.
Which is the problem is, especially when you have. That's hard, I find, in a lot of systems, just because it feels, in that way, it feels artificial. If you're like, you need to defeat this person's, anger levels or whatever. When if you're playing with people who role play a lot, like they can just talk it out and they can just argue, and having them roll for every little social interaction does feel very artificial.
It can be, but I think as coming at it from a development standpoint is you give people the options of what they want to do, and kind of go from there. If somebody wants to play it that way, because what you don't want to do is have a socially built character that has no they just suck at everything, right? They're not good at combat, and it's like, so why would you build a character like that? So then you build a system where those kind of characters can shine and allows those games, like the social intrigue game, to be played if you want, and in a mechanical fashion, right? So like if you wanted to play Game of Thrones, you could have this social intrigue based system where you could use it just like combat. But yeah, as far as like a role play heavy group, you might not use that ever.
Yeah, I find like I don't know how that would be implemented. Not really anyway.
Well, there's
Because I
systems
mean,
that do it. I mean,
yeah, like I mean, there's Genesis with like the strain system and whatnot. So it's like you're kind of going back and forth and arguing. That's just to me, this is like a lot of roles
mm-hmm.
and trying to figure out what
It's
someone wants to do.
the reason I don't like to do it is because it stifles role play.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
for groups that are not, and it's perfectly valid if there's groups that are more like, I want to convince this lady that like, you know, to give me free things instead of talking with them to try and convince them, like maybe start like rolling off, like that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to like people who talk in character a lot, like our group and whatnot, it's just harder to justify it. I guess.
It just is like, okay, now you make this big impassioned speech, and maybe you give them some sort of benefit or something, whatever you do, roll it, and then it's like, well, yeah, it didn't work. I don't know. Sometimes you get where, I don't think we're really guilty of this so much, but you could have like people who their character's dumb as a box of rocks or not very socially adept, and they make these great role playing speeches or great ideas. It's like, well, that doesn't really match your character so much.
They shouldn't
right?
be doing that.
Yeah,
that's the point. Yeah.
So
if you wanted to play a dumb character, play dumb.
Yeah, right. It's like my cyberpunk character. He is dumb as a box of rocks, and I'm not gonna like make. I might have like I might know that I'm surely supposed to not hit on every single girl he comes across, but he's gonna hit on every single girl he comes across because he's so dumb.
She likes me.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. So that's good. Interesting conversation. Yeah.
I've always been interested in looking at how a few systems do try to model social interaction with mechanics, and I've never been happy with any of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think for that, a lot of people look at your more narrative games like PBTA and those derived kind of systems from that. Like, I haven't really looked into those games a whole lot, but I don't know. Cult, how does Cult handle it, Matt? Like,
well, that whole thing, like a lot of it's like social, I'd say. It's a lot of like talking, and it's more like reactions to a lot of your roles. So I find with Cult, it seemed a lot more balanced, I found. There was a lot of bad stuff that happened to y'all, like all the time. There's bad shit, which like there's like a whole bunch of stuff
that's
that
the
I
game,
could do.
though.
Yeah, it's just bad shit happens, and that worked out, and it was good. But in certain games like City of Mist, for example, it's a bit harder because like you can easily throw things off balance. Either they're too easy or they're too hard, and there's a very fine line between making things too easy or too hard. And a lot of times, if I made it like realistic, like kind of quote unquote realistic for like things, it would just be too easy for the players, and there wouldn't be anything that like in the system that I could do to make things harder. Because it's like, oh, you can, if they like fail something hard, like there's all these like terrible hard choices that come from them failing, and a lot of it's just like, ooh, I think that's a little bit too much if they fail like this generic role. It's like, no, I don't think so. But sometimes like I feel like with City of Mist, combat was way too difficult, I found, as a GM, because you're not rolling anything and it's more descriptive. it's really only with City of Mist is that I found it like I felt like my hands were just too tied a lot of the times in some of the games. Not so much with like this group, but I've ran it for another group and I did not like it as much just because they were they felt very combat centric a lot of the time, and whenever they got into combats, which was a lot, I just found that it's just like, well, it feels like the players are super overpowered for this. It's just like, what am I going to do? Like, the NPCs barely get to do anything because they only can react to players on this or this, and that's it. And it's like, well, the fuck am I supposed to do now? Like, I don't know. I can't really fight back. It's all just like, oh, what's this person do? I don't know. I didn't like it as much for combat. But in terms of like for, I guess, social stuff, Cult worked, I think. I think. I enjoyed it. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I went somewhere completely different. I went off the rails.
Yo.
Yeah, like so one thing I didn't like about, let's step kind of back even further, like a combat system that I did not like mostly is, and it's very similar to Cyberpunk, it's Witcher. And it's because there's two reasons. One is a mechanic that causes combat to just be extremely unfulfilling for some people, and that's being able to the way the interlock system works, right, which is the base of Cyberpunk and The Witcher, is usually there are some weapons that you get 2 attacks, right, immediately, bang bang. It's just standard. You have you punch with your fists, like in Cyberpunk, like I do. I get 2 attacks. You attack with a short sword or something small, you get 2 attacks. In The Witcher, it's almost guaranteed you get 2 attacks if you do a quick attack. And so quick attacks, you just attack twice. But in The Witcher, you also have something called stamina, and you can pay a certain amount of stamina points to get 2 more attacks. So you're attacking 4 times. Well, the problem is, in a general sense, is everybody's waiting forever, right? If you're last on that initiative, you're waiting for freaking ever, or you're never going to go.
Yeah.
So this person attacks 4 times, this person attacks 4 times, this person attacks. We all know combat takes forever. So the people down the line are just waiting forever, right? And if you are doing something that, you can't do 2 attacks, then you went once versus 4 times.
Yeah.
Maybe you spend stamina, maybe don't, but it's just too much. I think that was a huge flaw in the system, and I hated it. I hated it. And with interlock, if you're not good at any combat skills, you're just really terrible. If you like have an attribute, because it adds your attribute, right? It's your role plus your attribute plus your skill, and your attribute is usually the highest thing in there. So if you're like Effie was, and you have somebody with a terrible attribute in whatever they're doing, attack-wise, they're never going to do anything. They're never going to hit anything. Whereas on the other hand, if you're good at combat, you're going to critical almost every single time and kill people. Like I had 2 Witchers attack them once, and they killed them like very quickly because they just critical them. Because if you roll higher than their by 7, then you get a minor critical, and then it goes up from there. And I just didn't like it.
Yeah, that reminds me of, I love Demon Gate, but at the end of Blood Money, we were getting into some really large combats, and the other characters were like summoners or necromancers and had all of these minions, and so all of them would have these really long turns because they're having to do stuff for their minions and everything too, and then all the enemies would go, and then it would eventually come back to my character, who's just kind of like this fighter, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, I try to hit twice. and then that's it. And Rogue would give me a hard time. He's like, oh, you don't have any like minions or anything? I was like, no, Rogue. Let me just go wait an hour for my next turn.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah. Which it was really funny to me. But yeah, it's difficult when you're that kind of player, because you're just like waiting around largely, and then the thing you can do something in is like 2 minutes maybe.
Yeah, and that's a problem with rounds versus other ways you might do it. Like one system I know. But
I mean, that's the thing. Combat really is supposed to be exciting and scary and a highlight, not, oh god, now it's combat.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think that's my problem with D&D is one of the reasons is like if I play D&D, I'm not going to get killed. I'm not going to get hurt. Like I just go take a nap and I'm fine. Right? It won't matter. You know.
I did die in D&D though.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you were resurrected.
Yeah,
I was resurrected.
It's just if it takes so long, especially if it takes so long for it to get back to you because of all the NPCs and all that. Then it really becomes then it's not exciting or interesting. It has to go quick.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be real with you. I've never liked combat.
Yeah,
just because of that, like just waiting around, like it's just not appealing to me.
Oh, as a DM, it's definitely my least favorite when it devolves into combat. I'm like, okay, well, I get a break from thinking, but this is the boring part of the.
Well, I have the added bonus of I always make characters that are absolutely like their character sheet is awful. So in combat situations, I see The Witcher.
Wow.
When she tried to throw a bomb and it went behind her, like, because there's a scatter table, and I was like, okay, you failed. Let's look on the scatter table. And it like went like 3 hexes behind her or whatever it was. It's like.
Blooper.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think she killed one thing in 2 seasons, maybe with a crossbow. I don't know. I remember she hit something, and we're all like, "Yes, yeah.
finally!"
Oh man.
Yeah. So if that game ever starts back up, we will not be using the Witcher system. But
oh, good.
That's
if you start the Witcher again, it won't be Witcher.
It won't be that system.
We won't have Witchers.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But what system would you use in its place?
I would use Heroes and Hardships. I think at this
point.
What's
Heroes and Hardships?
It is a system that is not out yet. There's a quick start guide.
Wow.
There's a quick start guide on Drive-Thru RPG, which will be getting a 6th version soon. But yeah.
Amazing.
It doesn't use rounds either. You go a lot quicker.
What use squares?
What company made that?
I don't know.
Is it like some big like Wizards of the Coast sort of?
No.
Because honestly, the quality is up there. It contends with the best.
Yes, definitely. Lots of stock art.
Are we allowed to curse?
Yeah.
Sure.
Brown nosers.
Yeah, fucking brown nosers. Yeah. No.
Dude, I've never even played it, but I can feel it.
Feel the burn.
Feel the burn.
Yeah. What else? Anything else to talk about?
I don't know. I mean,
is there any systems or games you want to play that you haven't played yet?
Fallout 2D20.
It's not out yet, but
I will eventually run a Fallout game. I have a whole thing planned.
You have music made.
Yes. I fucking started recording radio station shit.
Oh my gosh.
Ago. Yeah. Like I had an entire thing planned. It's gonna be in Florida. It's gonna be great.
Florida.
Yeah. Yeah,
Florida
the
Man.
Everglades.
You guys all play Florida Men.
Yep.
led by Rogue.
Yeah.
Rogue is the leader.
Can you imagine? He's so funny.
Get behind Rogue. He could be the radio voice. It'd be perfect.
Yeah. Wow, thanks, Tet. Just scrap all my accomplishments and radio. I see how it is.
No.
This is blatant.
I'm just saying he has the radio voice.
It's okay, Matt.
Your radio voice is probably very good. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, thanks. Thank you.
What else?
I don't know if there's anything else. Does anybody else have anything? Any news? Anything for the round table?
I'll be running Vason for my other group.
How
nice.
dare you?
Yeah.
We're not allowed to have other groups in
Yeah,
B&B.
I'm sorry.
What are you talking about? You have like 2.
Yes. I know. Hey, you guys don't do like long campaigns. That's what I do. That's my jam.
That's perfectly.
That's
fine.
my jam too, but apparently we don't get that here.
We got it in Math.
Yeah, I got a mask.
Anyway, I've been really kind of hot on the whole Mutant Year Zero system lately, just looking at, because I haven't had a chance to run any of them except Alien. So I like this system, basically, the core of it. It's pretty quick and easy. So I'm pretty excited about Vason because, I love Call of Cthulhu, but I've always been a little less than thrilled with the sanity system because it's a little old now, right? I mean, it's just you have a pool of points and you slowly lose them over time. I like Vason's approach to mental decay or mental fear.
If you don't know what book it is, it's this one. So.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's good. It looks good anyway, so I'm hoping it turns out well.
Hopefully.
I've had a lot of friends playing Masks lately.
Really?
Not like
the superhero. I think
the superhero one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not Masks in my life.
I literally when they kept talking about Masks, that's what my brain went to, and I was like, "Ooh, you guys are playing Masks of Nyarlathotep. Okay, nice."
They're like, no, what the fuck's that?
No, anime superheroes.
They were mentioning like their superhero character. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, right.
But yeah, no. That's
seen what I did to Nyarlathotep. Yeah.
That's something I might want to try doing a one-shot or something in eventually. Right now, I'm obviously focused on Final Fantasy since that's starting soon, but that game has piqued my interest as well.
Nice.
Yeah. I wanted to like Mithras more than I do. So, I don't know. I was hoping to... The magic system is so fucking weird. I don't know. It's just... It's like 5 different systems for every type of magic, and it's like, why? It's like,
and RuneQuest, I mean, the latest edition of RuneQuest 2, I mean, I've tried to get my head, not even just the system, I can't grok the culture, the world.
Did you say grok?
Yeah.
I've never heard that word in my life.
It's basically nerd for understand, completely get your head around something.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't.
Howard the Duck. Right?
Yeah, I want to understand
There's
it.
Howard the Duck.
I just don't get it. I mean, it's so steeped in like this weird, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a myth. It's steeped in so much mythology, and it's not just. I can't. I have a very realistic view of historical things, and so when I'm playing something like a fantasy setting, I still have that connection to, medieval Europe or something. I'm still translating that in my head, and I just can't translate this into something I get historically. If anybody's ever run RuneQuest, I've
not run it, but I mean, I don't understand. Like, I see the third-party supplements that come out, and like the covers are like Elvis and Eva Green, and I'm like, what is happening? I don't understand. I don't know.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
And sorry, I didn't mean to hijack Mithras, but Mithras reminded
me. I mean, it's similar, right?
It's essentially the same system. It's just Mithras is like their generic, not set in Gloranthia.
Yeah.
Or Glorantha.
Yeah, everything else is pretty okay, except the magic system. I'm just like, please don't cast magic because I don't understand.
But that's isn't that a core of the, like everybody knows a little bit of magic?
And everybody has their folklore magic, so everybody has a little bit of magic usually, and it's like, okay, well, that's easy. That's actually just you cast it and deduct the magic points, but like then you get to things like sorcery where they have intensity and oh god, I can't remember offhand. There's a bunch of stuff for it. It's just like, and that one's different from the animism, and it's different from the other types of magic, and like the priest clerical magic, whatever that's called. Yeah, it's just like,
stuff like that always sounds so fascinating to me, and I get excited reading it, and then when I try to run stuff like that, I find it just too much.
Well, I think that all your systems in a game, no matter what you're trying to do, should have similarities. Like, it doesn't matter if you're doing combat or magic or normal roles. They all should, in my view, if I'm going to call myself a developer, they should all be similar in a way that if you know one thing, you should be able to easily figure out the other things.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
I don't know.
Gotta have that brand recognition,
because then it just it takes away from the action of the game.
Yeah, you just have to figure
when you
you
keep having to figure all these details out. It sounds fun on paper, and then you start doing it. It's like, it takes away from the flow. You can't role play when you're doing that. It's now you're playing a board game, which I love board games, but they're two totally separate things. They shouldn't intermarry. I'm a real conservative when it comes to board games and role playing, intermarrying.
So something that I think Friendly just posted. It's just from basically the back of the Cyberpunk book, or like not the back, but like in the GM section. Basically. For GM's guide to how to run Cyberpunk is second trick to running Cyberpunk. Play hard and fast. You should not be afraid to kill off player characters. They should constantly be getting themselves into fights, traps, betrayals, and other soap operas. There should be no one they can trust entirely, no place that's absolutely safe. Never let them rest. This doesn't mean you shouldn't play fair. This should mean you should always play for keeps. If they cache weapons somewhere, steal them. If they stop for a rest, mug them. If they can't handle the pressure, they shouldn't be playing Cyberpunk. Send them back to that nice role-playing game with the happy elves and the singing birds. I hate this because this is a super toxic way to like basically explain a game.
Oh, absolutely.
Like 100%. And I don't know if I've actually like read that part, but I don't really believe in that because, like people should be getting invested into their characters. If they want to play a loot 'em and shoot 'em, play a fucking video game. Or if you are that type of player and you want to play a loot and shoot, sure, go and find a GM who runs that sort of thing. But personally, like that's a super toxic way to, I think, handle a game or explain a game. It's
I just don't tell people how to run their games. Right?
Yeah, shouldn't be a play to kill off player characters. Like, no, like if I'm gonna kill off a player character, I'd rather have it being like a meaningful battle, like something that's like high stakes, instead of it just being like some casual mugging. It's like I want people to get invested in their characters. I want people to make stories. If you have the mentality of, oh, you shouldn't be afraid to kill off characters, it's like no. It's like I like my players and I like my characters and I want them to fail upwards a lot of the time. It's like they're gonna have a hard time a lot of the time, and I love fucking them over. That's one of my favorite things, and I love them to suffer, and I get a lot of joy from that as a GM. But I don't want them to die. Like that's just sad.
How can you torture a dead person, right?
Exactly.
I feel like that is probably the developer's attempt at being edgy, like just being like, "Oh, our game is cooler because it's not, It's not like other games.
We're not like the other
old
games.
school though. I mean, like
Well-
when I first started playing D&D in the 70s, like that was you barely even named a character because you didn't expect them to live very long. Like we've
Mhm.
kind of outgrown that. I mean, it can be fun to jump back to that just for yucks once in a while to
Yeah.
have throwaway characters and all that, but that's not.
I mean, it's like when I ran Mork Borg, right? It was like
Yeah.
Mork Borg, however it's pronounced. But yeah, I mean, those characters die like that. I mean,
And
instantly.
But that's just for
Yeah.
That's like a
One
break.
shots and
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
I mean, how could you play a campaign when like I don't know how like some of these OSR systems are, but like Mork Borg is like you have like 5 hit points and the guys do 2d6 damage, so you're gonna die, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's
I feel like those sorts of systems and games are much more dedicated to just like people who only want to focus on combat and don't really care about like role playing or story or anything. Because like you were saying, you want people to feel attached to their characters, and like in the same sense, if they can't trust anybody, then they can't really get attached to like NPCs or anything either. And
Yeah.
when that happens, how are you going to tear their heart out? when-
Exactly.
If
you
they
start
don't
looking-
cry when their character dies, you didn't do it right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Come on.
Damn you. I did cry when Natalia died.
I know.
What
I
a
th-
loser.
I think I was the most angry at any time, like when I was role playing Otto and we lost that last battle, and I was just so pissed at Zypher because I was like, "What the fuck?" Because he didn't like pay attention to anything, and I was just so mad. I was like, "Ugh!" I just did not like that. I was mad. I was like, "Did we really fucking die?" Because I'm mad if we did, you know. So,
Yes.
Darren, please just let us be angry and leave. He did, thankfully.
Yay. Huzzah. Adventure awaits. But yeah, just that sort of thing. It's like, no thanks. Oh yeah, and then also from the same passage, crews are more likely to kill each other in a firefight than divide the spoils fairly. Like, I mean, no,
Encouraging
you're playing.
PvP.
Yeah, it's encouraging PvP. It's like, how
That's the
about
worst.
no? How about no?
PvP
cool.
sounds kind of like, in certain circumstances, oh yeah, this will be great. But it almost always gets like some hard feelings. Even if you know, like, and you're not like, you try not to be pissy, but it's gonna cause some hard feelings usually.
Yeah,
I mean,
I encourage
especially
PvP.
if it's like mechanical combat type of things. Like if it's like what I did to Rogue's character
Ghost.
in well, that's what I was good. That's the bad example.
Yeah, that's
right?
the bad.
That's the bad example. But if it's like, okay, my dad, I'm gonna like suck his life force out to give it to my girlfriend. And kind of like me and Rogue, we kind of knew what was, so it wasn't that big a deal.
Yeah.
But like if it was like a Dark Age vampire where I have Sim like dominate Ghost and then I kill him, right? And that it's just not good, right? And that was probably my fault, but
It was my fault. I don't know. It was mostly my fault because I allowed it.
I don't know. It almost always gives some hard feelings for a week or something. I don't know.
Yeah, or years. No.
Yeah, Ghost still hates me to this day because I killed Victor. No. But when you got a chair, you got to defend it,
My chair. Yeah, exactly. Your chair is very important.
Never get between a man and his chair.
My chair. The chair will always be remembered.
Chair and a butler. Like my PCs are all dumb. That's really what it boils down to. They're all just idiots.
He was like playing dumb people.
I guess. Kane was dumb.
Yokai's pretty dumb.
Yokai's dumb as they come.
Well, I mean, he could be dumber.
Well, mean, I guess.
Are we gonna finally rescue Red Robin, and then it turns out like you didn't actually date her, you just thought you dated her?
That's possible.
Oh my
That is
God.
possible.
Holy shit! Writing
That-
this down. Writing this down. Genius.
Oh God.
That would be hilarious. She's like, I don't even know you.
It's like, did we met one time? You know.
Yeah, you remember me? We like did 2 jobs together. It's like I was watching from the window.
Oh,
That's
hey there,
possible.
Delilah.
It's possible, actually.
And she's like,
I'm sorry for putting that in the GM's head, Ted.
I mean, it makes sense. Yeah. Oh, poor Yokai. She's not gonna be happy.
and then she's just like, oh, thanks, and like pats you on the head and then like
It's
awkwardly
fine.
shuffles off. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
And I might do that. Who knows? Stop guessing my plans.
So it looks like Bo's gonna run a first age Tolkien game too, which is gonna be cool.
Yeah, that sounds super awesome.
Who's in that?
Hey guys, I gotta go.
Yep. See you,
Yeah.
Darren. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye guys.
Bye.
So in there we've got Tet,
Wanderer.
Effie, Wanderer.
Wander.
I don't know if it did anybody else. See,
I saw Friendly posted in there, but I don't think that he.
I think it's
Okay.
just us 3 for now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
I thought a lot of people were gonna jump on it, and so I haven't said anything in there.
well, that's your chance.
Jump
There's
on
room
it.
for one more.
I do
Yep.
like Lord of the Rings.
And
Check
first
it out.
stage is the hardcore stuff, like
Yeah, I know
dark
nothing
Lord of the
about
Rings.
First
That's
Stage.
what I heard.
It's like third age, like it's like you're kind of all the hobbits are going on a journey, and first age is like, well, I'm fighting Balrogs and dismembering dwarves and
Hot.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like dismembering dwarves?
Wait a minute.
Don't play a dwarf. No.
I'm not
Writing
playing.
that one down.
Yeah. So, I think elves are very, very widespread at the time. So,
Everyone plays an elf.
Knife Eaters. I'm playing an elf.
I think both Tet and Wanderer are playing an elf, and
Mhm.
I'm sitting here going, I like pointy ears, but bearded women are cool.
Bearded
And then I'm like,
It could be
Yeah.
the story, the origin story of the dwarf women. Where are they?
Yeah.
Yes.
They realized that dwarf men suck and they just left to start their own thing. 100% that's what it is. They're like, no. Ew. They just left.
right.
Just be careful. Bo's pretty stickler for thematic stuff in Lord of the Rings. So if he's like,
What do you mean?
he could be like, no dwarf women. I don't know. He just
Oh my
bad.
gosh.
It's definitely possible.
he would
Like,
if
I
he
could do
thought.
a dwarf man voice. I can't do that.
Oh, how's it going? How you doing?
Yeah.
I could basically quote dwarves from World of Warcraft. Keep your feet on the ground. That's it.
You just gotta expand from there.
I do have a question going back to systems. As someone interested in dipping her toes into GMing, what would be the best system to start out as a noob GM?
Mass Effect.
No,
Run it.
system.
I don't run Mass Effect.
I would say probably something that you're interested in and that is more on the simple side, or maybe something like as a player the best, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
If you played a ton of D&D and you know D&D. Now D&D is very complicated combat wise. There's a lot going on, but I mean, if you know it, you know it.
Yeah.
So you favor more of what you know versus what would be an easy system?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's hard to learn systems
It is.
anyway. And as a new GM, you typically have like a lot of anxieties about GMing for the first time anyway, and a lot of stuff to worry about, like, oh crap, am I like doing this right or that right, or am I sucking in like this area? And for that reason, I'd warn to not pick up something entirely new to you. I'd pick something you've at least played like a couple times before and are kind of familiar with.
Yeah.
So that way you can just like read up on the rest of the rules and then be good. But I think just like picking something that interests you is most important. Something that you like. Something that you can use to tell the story that you want to tell.
I would agree. I mean, whatever you would find easiest to run. If you think that's D&D or whatever, right? I think that's completely valid. Now, I think D&D is the easiest system to run? Probably not. But there's all those kind of narrative games that are pretty simple.
Yeah. Anything that's powered by the apocalypse, there is a lot of stuff that can be in the background as a GM, like with City of Mist.
City of
Stuff that
Mist
can
is a different beast, though. It's so big and there's so
It
much
is.
shit
It
going
really
on.
is with like juice and like clues and but I would say that like powered by the apocalypse games are pretty decent if you can find one that fits in. The only thing is like sometimes that like as you don't roll dice as a GM, like it seems easy in principle, but it also requires you to like 100% pay attention pretty much all of the time, and you can't really sit back as a GM. You always have to be on, and it's like it's tiring. And don't do Genesis. Don't do Genesis.
Well, Genesis is
I
just very different. I mean,
I'm
I
not.
don't know that I've even had any experience with Genesis, so I probably wouldn't touch that one.
Yeah, you have Avatar.
Oh, yes! I hate that system.
Yeah. Well, the Avatar system for Genesis isn't because it's fan made, and it is a free system. Like it's good in a sense, but there's just way too much complicated stuff, I think. Like there's too many maneuvers, there's too much. Like you have to keep track of how big like the silhouette of your ball of flame is if you're a firebender, and there's a bunch of stuff that you have to upkeep and a bunch of maneuvers that you have to do and a bunch of prep and but there's just a lot, and it's just not worth it.
yeah. But I'm thinking of like simple systems. The Mutants Year Zero system that like Darren was talking about. It's pretty simple. I don't know.
Let's see what
It just depends. It just depends on what kind of what do you want to run. Do you have any like ideas?
There's a Mass Effect 5e game.
Yeah, there's Mass Effect 5e and 2D20.
Yeah.
That's already out there. Because I've been doing research. I do know that I'm interested in running a Mass Effect game. I don't have a story for it yet. So, and I know that they have like pre-gens, like they've already made some stuff up, but I don't know that I want to do that.
Well, you've got 2 players already.
I'm playing a Malturian. I will be the one people want to bang.
Hell yeah.
Huzzah.
Your whole goal.
It's just fuck me.
Yeah, but in terms of system, I'm not 100% sure, but I do know that they at least have like the 5e and the 2D20 built out there.
I mean, there are there's also like 5e sci-fi books. There's the one that's actually Deal of the Day today. It's what is it called? It could be adapted, I suppose.
Yeah, because there's I'm looking at the D20 Mass Effect right now.
Ultra modern, that's right. Yeah.
So how
You could use a generic system like Genesis or GURPS,
GURPS?
or
No,
don't use GURPS, but yeah. Although I think the first game I GM'd was GURPS.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. I think so. That or AD&D. I don't remember which one, but
My first was D&D 2nd edition.
A.
Yeah.
D5 or what is this? What is this D5 or less? What is this? This is a weird system.
Does Stars Without Number have like a magic system in place at all?
Yes.
I don't know if
There's another book that's called Dark some I don't know. There's a magic book for it you can add.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Swan is pretty easy.
yeah,
it's
I
not a terrible idea. It's free too. If you want, there's a free version of it, and I think it just doesn't have art and like a couple things about like mechs and stuff.
Yeah.
What's it called again?
Stars Without
Number.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It's the game you played, the Fear Factory game. It's that system.
Oh,
it's pretty simple.
okay.
It really is.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of complicated stuff with it, to be honest. There's like not a lot. There's not a huge number of skills.
It's more complicated than when Zypher ran it, though.
Oh, I was gonna say that was easy.
He ignored everything pretty much.
Really? Oh, I love that.
Well, I mean, if you want combat to essentially be a roll off, sure. Like,
oh, true.
Attack, you attack, you attack, you attack, you attack. That's all it was, right? But that's not how it's supposed to be.
Oh, well then.
But I mean, it's not much more complicated than that. But
Interesting. Well, I'll have to do my research then.
Yeah.
I know a system you could use too if you wanted to. I would be more than
Heroes and
happy
Hardships?
to help you with that if you want to.
Well, that is actually
it can do everything.
One of the reasons why I am playing the first stage, because it's Heroes and Hardships, right? So I'm gonna test out that.
Yeah, I don't see there's any reason why I wouldn't be able to do Mass Effect.
Yeah. Heroes and Hardships can do anything.
Wow.
Supposedly.
Yeah. The universal system.
I'll just make Final Fantasy into a space system so you can use it for Mass Effect.
Final Space.
Final Space.
Final Space.
Chocobos in space.
Yes.
Final Effect.
I'm very excited for when you eventually run Mass Effect, Effie.
One day. It'll be a long time from now because I've now signed up for 4 games.
Yes, you have.
2 of them are at least going to be short-ish, from what I understand. Star Trek and the first stage.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, I'd run Mass Effect.
We'll see. I gotta figure things out.
Is this gonna be like a soap opera dating sim? That's it. That's all you gotta do. We'll be content.
Do I have to make romance rules for Heroes and
Hardships? Yes. I need romance partner rules, please. Yes.
Roll a contested seduce check now.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
It was like in Conan where I had you guys roll like a opposed stamina check for who hurt each other banging because they're both like
I won.
Conan barbarians. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I won that one. I fucked up Ghost.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what else we have on the dot. There's nothing really else, is there?
That's it, yeah. Yeah, I think that's all. Trying to think of anything that we're missing, but yeah. So I guess we can wrap it up. I'm just gonna say if there's a system you guys, I'm talking to the viewers out there, if you want to see us,
hi all 6 of you.
Yeah, all 6 of you currently. If there's anything you want to see us run. Or just do system tutorials for, that's fine, or character creations for, just let us know and we'll try to get to that. As far as systems go, it's hard to say if we'll get around to anything that you suggest in the near future, but maybe. I think right now we're probably know what we're running for the next few months at this point, because
give me money, I'll
just
run
started. Yeah. Money, please.
Money, please. Money, please.
Yeah, but I think so, and I think one shots are kind of hard to come by right now because of just how much. I mean, we're gonna have 26 games this month and scheduled right now, 26 sessions. So it's hard to fit stuff in sometimes, but plus one shots are so fucking hard to run. They are. It just
They take forever to prep too.
They take forever to prep, and they're like 3 hours, and you're like cutting stuff out because you don't want to do a part 2, and it's just like I don't know. Yeah, it's just, and it's fun, but it's not like meaningful. Usually, there's very fun one shots, and usually they end up being kind of memey, but. Yeah.
I think my what is it? The one that I ran a bit ago for Cock was pretty good. When everybody drowned at the end. That was fun.
I think my last one shot was probably more bored. Maybe.
That was fun though.
Yeah, but it's kind of just it's like douchely. I mean, you got douchaloo, so you can't fault that when you have douchaloo. What did he call himself? Lord of the Plains or something?
What?
I killed a child with a bear trap. I was terrible in that game because I was mad.
Yeah.
I thought they were evil. I thought they were evil little children.
Yeah. I'm Douchaloo, Lord of the Plains. So maybe I'll do like another Mark Borg, and we'll have Douchaloo.
We need Futseku, yeah.
Futseku Douchaloo. And that name comes from just the random names that Roll20 generate. His character died, and then so to get Ghost another character, I just like whipped up another random Roll20 character, and I didn't change the name, and his name was Futseku Douchaloo.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
10 out of 10.
Yeah. All right, I think that's it. If anybody's got anything else, just comment here, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Thanks.
In 5 to 10 business days. Bye. That